Hi, good. Hi, welcome to Tottenham Tantrum Gold, your home of classic games, content, and debate. Tonight, well, today, or whenever you're watching this, we're doing the player ratings to Manchester City versus Tottenham. With me on this stream is my usual co-host Ben from the coffee shop. How are you, Ben?
Doing all right. We're surviving after a long night on the drinks, after a wonderful performance yesterday, and we're just about to really re-look at that glorious performance yesterday. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is going to be great fun. And down below, well, we've got two legends of YouTube. One, he's the man from Hollywood. He knows all the stars, and he is Matt Letizier's brother. He is the one and only Phil Letiz, Hollywood Phil Letiz. How do you feel after that? After that great win for us yesterday?
Well, after doing the double over the champions with an
Yeah.
outstanding team performance. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Not too bad. Had worse weekends, like last weekend. But yeah, no, what a night, what a performance, what a game.
Brilliant game. And below me, well, this man knows his stats. He really is Jack Kanicki's Obi-Wan. He is learning from the light side. It's Azan. How are you, Azan, this evening, and how are you after that great win yesterday?
I mean, what a win. We put goddamn Pep Fraudiola in his place. I'll tell you that. You know, he's coming after Harry Kane. No, you can't have him. He's going to score 2 on you. Get in there.
Absolutely
I
brilliant.
think my favourite bit of last night, obviously outside of the win, is the close-up they had on the touchline where Pep just sinks to the ground on his knees, like almost like crying, and you see Conte just going proper, like full on celebrating with all the boys. And you know when you just like, boom, that's all you want to say. It's just like
That was really magic, wasn't it? Just him just jumping into the entire subs bench.
Yeah.
Magic.
It's great night to be a Spurs
and I'm
fan.
like, who is that? Who is that? Who cares?
Yeah.
But also today is a very special day as well, the 20th of February. Today is actually Jimmy Greaves, but would have been Jimmy Greaves' birthday. So happy birthday to the great man, wherever you are. Tottenham legend, all-time Spurs record scorer as well for our club. So happy birthday, Jimmy, wherever you are, mate. Rest in peace, but what a legend. Phil, just very quickly, what's your thoughts on the great man, Jimmy Greaves?
Well, there should be a statue outside so that we can all celebrate with him. The man, the legend, you know, what a goal scorer. But more importantly, he did it with chunky boots, heavy footballs, and a chronic pitch. What would he do today? Would he get more than his 280 goals? Oh my God, would he ever?
Yeah.
How much would he be worth today?
More than Neymar.
Yeah, exactly.
More than Mbappe.
Yeah. And you're right, Phil, there should be a statue, and there should be one there, Bill Nick as well, and Arthur Rowe. But that's a subject for another stream and another time. But happy birthday, Jimmy. And you, Azon and Ben, quick thoughts. I'll go with you, Ben, first on Jimmy Greaves. Anything to say on the great man?
I mean, when you have someone of his magnitude looming over a football club, and you hear the echoes of stories from people like the Godfather, Phil Brady, and Arthur, and my dad and my uncle, all the people that have passed down the history of Tottenham, said what this guy was to this football club, how magical a footballer he was. It's the words of Roger Lloyd Pack, rest in peace. The flick, the trick, the 30-yard free kick, winning with a flourish, absolutely sums up Tottenham Hotspur to a T. Absolutely legendary footballer, and he will be sorely missed as always.
And then a quick whiskey at half time and a cigarette because
Yeah.
it's like I wasn't properly into the football. I could do other stuff. It's like, really? Under today's conditions, oh my God. As much as we sit there and and it will come in our ratings, how good we see Harry Kane is. I wonder what Harry Kane would have been like in those conditions. Yeah. Who knows?
Exactly, Phil. And Azon, just very quickly, your thoughts on the great man, Jimmy Greaves?
I mean, look, I'm a very young fan, I must say, so I wasn't around when Jimmy Greaves was playing. but you know his legacy to this club, the fact that he's a club legend, he's a World Cup winner as well. I mean, he's their all-time goal scorer. So even if you've never seen him play, you know that guy was absolute class. He's a legend, and he 100% deserves a statue outside the stadium. I don't know why Levy and Enoch haven't done it yet. If there's one guy that deserves a statue, it's him or Bill Nicholson. In fact, they both do, as Dermot was saying. So yeah, just an absolute legend, and he will be missed.
Yeah, it will be. So anyway, happy birthday, Jimmy, and wherever you are, sir, happy birthday. Right, we're now going to do the play ratings of Manchester City versus Tottenham. Just a few stats go through. Spurs 1-3-2. Kuliowski got his first goal for Spurs. Harry Kane the 2. On the shots, Spurs had 6 shots on goal, 5 on target, and Manchester City had 21 shots on goal, 4 on target, 72-28 possession in favour of Man City, and basically 7 fouls to 5 to Spurs, 3 yellow cards, and 3 to 1 offsides. And Man City had 10 corners, and Spurs didn't have 1 in the whole game. But we still won because we're the best side in North London. So that's all you need to know. And we've actually done the double. Nuno and Conte have both beaten Man City. So Nuno's got 1 claim to fame. Right, bench. Should we get on with the play ratings?
Yeah.
That's the first time in 35 years we've done the double over the champions. 87
it is.
Last one.
And it's taken 2 different managers. So there's a lot to think about.
I think it's taken a few more since 87. Jesus.
Yeah. I've Nuno somewhere in the garden somewhere with his fishing rod just standing there like this going, woohoo, we've beaten Man City again.
He's at the Beehive Pub. We saw him the other day when you came there.
He was sitting in the pub. I sent a picture of the film. That was Nuno just sitting there waiting for his pint coming on.
So,
right.
We're going to start
Shall we get on?
Yeah, we're going to start with Hugo Lloris. Oh. Let me do it, Dermot. I'll get it.
Okay. All right.
So, Dermot, you have given Hugo Lloris a 7 out of 10. Explain yourself, sir. Explain yourself.
He wasn't at he was. I wouldn't say he was at his best, but I think he pulled off a few good saves. But that's why I've given him 7 out of 10. I think he fumbled 1, if I remember. So, he wasn't at his best, but that's why I give him 7. I won't give any more than that.
Izhan, same question. You've given Hugo Lloris 5 out of 10. What is your thinking on that, sir?
So look, in my opinion, 6 out of 10 is an average performance, and maybe that's probably a more fair rating because he gave up a goal and he saved a goal, but my standards for Hugo are pretty high, and he's come into a bad run of form lately, 2 games in a row now where he's cost us, and that mistake. He really should be catching that. He really should be catching that cross, and that let Man City back into the game, and who knows how the game would have gone if he just held on to it. So. Look, I'd say below average. I don't want to see the goalkeeper making mistakes, but he did save us as well. So maybe a 6 is a more fair rating, but in my opinion, below average from Hugo's standards.
Bill, same question, sir. What was your opinion on Hugo Lloris's performance?
For a World Cup winning captain and a club captain of a club as big as Tottenham, he's got to be catching that for the goal. That was just sloppy, and it raises question marks over the defenders because most of them were looking around going, Hugo's got this. So if you start unnerving a settled or a decent back 5, it just gives you that little bit of edge where it's not quite right. But then on the flip side, what a save from Gundogan. That was absolutely, it was like scoring a goal because he absolutely pulled it out of the bag. But I think there was another one from Gundogan early on that hit the post. He was beaten on that one as well. So he just, for me, didn't feel that he was anywhere near where he has been. But I didn't feel that he was commanding the box as well. And yeah, I just think he was one of two or three for me that probably had a little bit of room for improvement yesterday.
Okay, I understand both of your opinions. I'm still going to
And
give
Ben, for you?
I'm still going to give him a 7 out of 10 because of that save from Gundogan was beyond a world-class save. Only one goalkeeper in the world saves that, and that's Hugo Lloris with his reflexes. After a pretty nervy game, he showed why he's the captain of the football club. When he was desperately needed, he pulls out a worldie of a save. So although he wasn't at his greatest, like Izhan and Phil said, I think that one save was well worth a 7 out of 10. It was phenomenal. I was celebrating. I punched it, saved. I was celebrating that save like it was a goal. Like I started to believe after that. Couldn't really do anything.
It was the equivalent, wasn't it? Because let's face it, if Galini was in goal, that was 2-1 at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or no, it was the equal, but it was a goal, you know.
Yeah.
So go with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant there from all three of you. Should we go to the next one to Emerson? There, Ben?
So,
right. I give Emerson an 8 out of 10 because I thought it's his best game for Tottenham. But I'll start with you, Ben, and then I'll go to you, Phil, and then Izhan. Ben, why did you give Emerson 8 out of 10?
He got stuck in. He showed what we've been trying to hope for with Emerson. Every time someone came down that right-hand side, he didn't do what he usually does and switches off. He was getting stuck in. Anytime Cancelo went forward, he was putting his foot in. He was shirking down that right-hand side. He was giving absolutely no space to the attackers of Manchester City. Every time a tackle came in the box when I was wincing, thinking he was going to give away a penalty, but every single tackle spot on. Absolutely brilliant performance. And he showed that he is a capable defender. And when he's got someone like Kulusevski in front of him, maybe he doesn't need to be a right wing back. Maybe he can just do his job of being a defender. So I thought it was almost superfluous. Could he have done better attacking wise? Yes, he's had a couple of bad crosses. But for the most part, defensively, he was spot on. So that's why I gave him an 8 out of 10.
Thank you, Ben. Phil, your thoughts on Royal Emerson?
Yeah, I've obviously marked him ever so slightly less than that. I suppose I'm going to start with the positives, and where he had by far his best game for us. But I think the biggest difference was who was playing next to him and who was in front of him. So we had Romero next to him, who was talking to him and helping him out. But even if somebody got round, if they went past Royale, which didn't happen very often, you're then facing Romero. You're not going round him and having Sanchez and thinking this is a doddle. So he definitely got stuck in. Still got some work to do going forward. I think there was one early-ish on. He put a cross in for... It kind of went to Sessegnon, which was the first time you've seen one wing-back to the other wing-back, but it was a poor ball over, and then he had a shot sort of later. But they obviously... There was a stat halfway through the first half where they were like 50% coming down there. But with Romero, Emerson and Kulusevski in there, they certainly looked a lot more solid unit, and slowly but surely there was less and less traffic coming down that side. So as a unit, I thought they were good, but Emerson still a little bit to do, but a solid, if he gets 7.5 every week, we're not going to be complaining at that, are we?
No, I'm not. Brilliant comments again, Phil, from you. And as you give them out of 10, what was your thoughts on Royal Emerson?
I mean, look, he's coming up against Phil Foden, a very talented player. We all know it's not an easy task. Stopping Gundogan as well, who played on City's left, and Emerson. He's a good defender. I know people get on his back for not being the attacking fullback or the attacking wingback. But some of that offense, it's also the right winger's responsibility and the right central midfielder's responsibility. Emerson's primary role is to defend, and today he did really well. The only mistake, I guess, was when João Cancelo got him with that fake shot, and he slid in. But Romero was there to cover, and other than that, he was brilliant. He got stuck in, and he made life really difficult for that Man City offense. I mean, a lot of stuff was coming down Man City's left wing, and he did his job and he did it really well.
Absolutely brilliant comments again. And for me, it's one of his best games, Emerson, for his best game for Tottenham. So let's hope he can continue. Right, up next, we've got Romero there, Ben. For me, I gave him 8 out of 10. The only reason I gave him 8, not a 9, is because of the penalty. I think he could have kept his hands down a bit when he slid in. So that's the only reason. And Phil disagrees with me there. I love gonna love hearing what Phil thinks of that comment. Really am. That's the only reason I give him an 8, not a 9. But Ben, you give him a 9, sir, and take it away.
There were two. So I'm going to go with a penalty first because I don't think that's a penalty. When you're sliding in a tackle from that close, you've got no chance of getting your hand out of the way. I know a lot of people saying he actually punched it out, but when you're sliding in, you've got no choice to put your arm up in the air. It's just like, it's not possible. Otherwise, you're going to end up breaking your arm every 5 minutes. For me, that wasn't a penalty. Obviously, it doesn't matter. It was a penalty because we won anyway, but there was a block in the 94th minute of the game, I believe it was. I don't know who put the ball in. It came from the right-hand side, whoever it was. And it was almost a surefire tap-in by the Portuguese guy. What's his name?
Diaz?
Cancelo?
Not Cancelo.
Bernardo Silva.
Oh, Silva.
Silva, yeah. Silva. It was a surefire tap-in, but Romero was at the right place at the right time. Absolute brilliant player, kicked the ball out, rose-headed it, brilliant positioning from him. And as well, as Phil said earlier, he made Emerson's life incredibly easy because anytime Emerson did make a mistake, which he didn't, Romero was there to mop up, which is what a right centre-back does. So in terms of his defending performance, he was a 9 out of 10 in my book. You could knock him down a bit because of the penalty, but I still don't think it was a penalty. I think that's silly for giving that a penalty there, but what do you know? What do I know?
Yeah, no, the great points again, Ben. I do agree with you probably in hindsight about the penalty, but I just, that's why I knocked him down. Go on, Phil. I know you're itching to say about the penalty. So what's your thoughts on him?
Unfortunately, with today's rules, it was a penalty all day long. But my question would be, is if you fall over, what the flipping hell are you supposed to do with your arm? You can't fall over with your hands behind your back. It's just bonkers. But
it's instinct, isn't it, Phil? It's instinct, isn't it? If you fall over, you're going to put your hands out.
Yeah.
So I suppose it is instinct.
He fell in his hand, but and how much did Anthony Taylor love giving that penalty? It was almost like Harry scoring the goal. But anyway, that aside, his positional play was absolutely phenomenal. He doesn't look like a 23-year-old. I keep looking and think he's 28, 29 because he looks like he's got 10 years worth of experience at the top level, and he's had a couple of years. And my God, what a player we've got there! He covered for Royale. So normally you would give Royale a 5 out of 10, and we're already giving 7.5, 8 out of 10. So he's already, on top of his own performance, he's made Royale a better player because of that covering. That back five, we'll talk about it all the way through. That back five were absolutely phenomenal yesterday. It looks like they'd had 4 weeks on the training ground as pre-season, that the 5 defenders, you get your butts back from your summer holiday early. This is what we're working on. When he goes there, you stay in a line. It was that all the way through. I just thought collectively they were phenomenal. But for me, Romero still stood out because he is the man.
Great again, Phil. Great comments again. And you, Izhan, what's your thoughts on Romero?
Yeah, look, a lot of it has been said, especially that one clearance. When the low cross was put in, which was gonna go to Bernardo Silva's feet, and he put it out. The reason why it was so impressive was because it was very easy for him to knock that ball back into his own net. But in fact, he kept it out. He cleared it all the way out, which is extremely impressive. I mean, this guy's awareness, he makes it look so easy. Like, the game is just too easy for him. We were mentioning how Jimmy Greaves said, football is just, like something I do on the side, But for Romero, it almost seems like the same thing. It's just too easy. So yeah, the reason I gave him an 8 is obviously because of the penalty. I just wanted to say, with the rules, right? So the rulings say that the arm must be in a natural position, and in my opinion, it's left vague on purpose. So it is up to the referee's interpretation. So when people go like say, "Oh, this incident from this game was given, this incident from this game was not given," and they're like very similar incidents, it is sort of up to the referee's interpretation. And by the books, yes, referees can get away with that because it is, it's not very specific. And yeah, to be honest, it probably was a penalty. His arms up. You could argue it was in a natural position, but like his arm was like away from his body. I think if his arm was next to his body, it probably wouldn't have been given. But then again, when you're sliding in, you have to like keep your arms up to hold your balance. So it's hard to say. But in my opinion, yeah, it was a fair penalty. I probably would have given it if I was refereeing the game. But yeah, otherwise, solid performance from Romero. Absolutely faultless.
If that was a Man City player and we weren't given the penalty, we would properly be in uproar. But it does seem
Mm-hmm.
it does seem a feeble way of giving a penalty away these days. It's a bit like Sissoko in the Champions League. It kind of felt one of those. It's like, did the ball touch his hand? Yeah. Was it a penalty? Yeah. Should it have been? No.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Actually, I want to ask you one more question about Romero. I'm going to start with you, Ben, very quickly. It's sort of like a yes or no. Future Tottenham captain?
Very possibly. He's already showing very early on in his career leadership skills, ability to take other players under his wing and Sherpa players and get performances out of players, and his sheer quality. So maybe he is a future Tottenham captain. I would still give that to someone like Oliver Skip because I like to have captains in the middle of the park usually. But if he's going to be a skipper, I think he'd be a very good skipper.
Phil?
Possibly. He's certainly leading by example, but Dona was, for me, I think Ben's right. Central mid or central defender has to be where your captain is. For all Hugo's qualities, he's not influencing when we're up at a corner or we're in the bottom third, so it needs to be somewhere there. What I wouldn't want it to do is distract away from his playing ability to be leading the team. I mean, possibly at the moment, it would be a proper curveball. If I was going to change the captain, I might even be thinking about Eric Dyer, which pains me to say, and I cannot believe it. But he's got those leadership qualities at the moment that he's got that respect and stuff. But that would be my only concern with Romero is I would rather him be a great player than a great captain.
And Izhan, is finally to you, Romero captain?
Well, I think he needs to learn the English language first to be the captain. He can only speak Spanish, as far as I know, and I think Italian. But yeah, that's my only reasoning. He is the leader of the back line for Argentina, and also at Atalanta, he was definitely the leader of the back line. So yes, he does have the leadership qualities. He's young. He can, you can groom him to be a proper captain. But the main blockade is that he doesn't know English. So yeah, that's why I would be against it at this period of time.
Okay, that's fair enough. Right, next we're going to Dyer, Eric Dyer now. I gave him 9 out of 10. I thought Eric Dyer had a fantastic game yesterday. Absolutely, and I never thought I would say that. We rarely missed him. He came back. He was authoritative. He was there. He was brilliant. Absolutely world class yesterday. We saw the best of Eric Dyer. Since Conte's come in, he has come on leap and bounce. Dyer. So I've given them 9 out of 10. Ben, you've given them the same. And what's the reasons why?
I mean, we were talking about this pre-recording this video, but being able to speak all those languages is clearly a brilliant thing because he can communicate. He is the communicator in that defence. He's organising people. If someone's getting something wrong, he's barking orders out. And in terms of his actual playing performance, he did not put a foot wrong the entire game. The only thing you could call it a mistake, he was actually being fouled. So Eric Dyer was superfluous. He was absolutely brilliant. He showed that he could be a captain of this team. I mean, he has been captain of this team in many games. But There is a reason why every manager, from Poch to Mourinho to Nuno to Conte, picks him. He is a class footballer, and now he's showing that he is a class footballer, and he's showing that we really need to start giving him some respect. So, 9 out of 10 performance. He was absolutely brilliant. What a performance from him. It's brilliant to see.
It is absolute big comments as always, Ben. Phil, you've given him 8 out of 10. Why?
Purely on his leadership qualities. I can't.
No, sorry, 8. Sorry, give him 8.5. Sorry.
I couldn't sit and say to you, oh my God, he did this, he did that. But that leadership side, someone's keeping that back five in the line. And I've talked about it all the time. Every time they pause or shows the Man City attack, anytime on the highlights, all 5 of them, all in a line. You could have literally put a piece of paper along them. They would all have been on the edge of it. And somebody was organising that. And for Romero's qualities, I don't think it was him. It had to come from the centre. You're right that there was one sloppy pass, but he was being fouled at the time. But I wouldn't say he necessarily stood out as the world's greatest defender, but he had composure and leadership. And, he was part of a back 5 that were immense.
Really comments. And Izhan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Dyer was excellent. I never thought I'd be saying this, but we needed Dyer back really soon. And it was excellent. He was excellent. He never really put a foot wrong. That's why I've given him the same rating as Romero. Both were just absolutely brilliant. And he brings that leadership, and I'm surprised to say this, but that calmness as well in that back line. And I think he kept things cool. He organized them like Hollywood Phil said. The back line was completely straight, right? And that allows you to hold like the offside trap really well. Everybody knows where they are, and you can catch them offside. So it was hard for Man City to make those runs in behind because everything was so organized, everything was so tight, and Eric Dyer deserves a lot of credit for that. Big up Eric Dyer for today. Yesterday. What a performance!
Yeah. And great, all from all of you. Absolute great performance, Eric Dyer. And then we now move on to Ben Davies. For me, I give him 7 out of 10. Just a normal performance from Ben Davies for me, really. Romero, Dyer, and Emerson, I think, had better games than Davies. Apart from that one ball Davies took out of defence to Cooley, which was unbelievable. Man, what a pass. But I think that's all he did. He didn't really come up in the game a lot, just did his job, did what he had to do. So that's why I gave him 7 out of 10. Ben, you gave him 8 out of 10. What was your reason behind that score?
For exactly the reasons you just said. He didn't put a foot wrong. He was solid. Whenever he got the chance to put the ball out, he wasn't smashing it out. He was putting the ball on plates for people like Kulusevski. He didn't put a foot wrong the entire game. And just like Romero did on the other side, as soon as Sessegnon was maybe slightly caught, there was Davies to mop it up. The back 3, they didn't put a foot wrong the entire game. So minimum all of them deserved an 8 out of 10. Of course, you were right that except for maybe Sessegnon, in my opinion, he wasn't the second least as good, but he was still absolutely excellent. He mopped up everything that Sessegnon couldn't mop up, and he didn't put a foot wrong, and he didn't fall over for once, so he was wearing the right pair of boots to speak, so that was great.
It was. Hollywood Phil, I just got Hollywood Phil. Are you going to the Oscars, by the way, Phil, in Hollywood in March?
Yeah, I'll be there. There as Adele's special guest. She doesn't know that yet, but no. I am.
You're going to turn up in your tux out a door. I'm coming with you if you like it or not. Is that the plan?
Yeah. I mean, Ben Davies is. Were you getting worried when Man City were attacking down the right hand side? Because for me, I wasn't, because Ben Davies was there. Plus the 2 passes. Not only did he have the one out to for the offside goal, he played the ball into Harry Kane for the first goal, which early on in that move, we were getting overrun, and then Romero switched it out to Ben Davies, inside to Harry Kane, first time pass, and we were clean through. So we were under pressure at the back. 1, 2, 3 passes later, we've got an AB for a goal. So for me, he was absolutely, he was just solid. He could have scored more if he'd done a little bit more, but actually, if he does that every week, he'll make himself undroppable in his position. So 8 out of 10 was absolutely solid.
And he plays that position for Wales as well, doesn't he, Phil? So
Yeah.
he should be used to that sort of player.
But he's looked a better player. But also, even when, because obviously I got concerned when they took Cess off and he brought Sanchez on. I'm like, surely he's not putting Sanchez there. But Ben Davies slotted into the left wing back. But I don't think he went to left wing back. I think he went to left back. We just put 5 at the back. Yeah. But again, he was still very solid. You weren't getting nervous with that side of the pitch.
No, thanks a lot, Phil. Great comments as well. And as you've gone for 7 out of 10 for Davis. What was your reason behind that?
Yeah, I did think he had a very good game, but I just think that Romero and Dyer probably had a bigger role to play in the victory. But where Davis excelled was the very little times that we did have possession. Davis was always that outlet on the left-hand side, that wide outlet on the left-hand side. And Romero, you could see, would constantly switch it over to Davies to get past that Man City press. And, you know, a lot of our goals did initially come from that left-hand side in our own half. And, you know, Davis was a huge part of that. He was important for our ball progression, which, you know, eventually let us get the win. And obviously the amazing pass that he picked out, which is unfortunately offside. But, you know, overall, very solid performance from Davies. I really liked what I saw.
Yeah, great comments from all of you. Absolutely fantastic. Then we go to Segerson. To Segi. I give him 7.5 out of 10. He had a solid game. Wasn't spectacular, but it was dependable. He did his job. I give him the extra 5 because of what happened last week. I mean, I was there with you, Ben. We all saw what happened when Conte took him off early. I think it was important for him to play yesterday, so his confidence wouldn't go to rock bottom. But I don't think it let him disturb him what happened last Sunday. He came out and he did a dependable job. So, you know, 7.5 out of 10 for him. Good performance. Ben, you've given him 7 out of 10. What was your reason behind that?
Again, like you said before, solid performance. Didn't put a foot wrong all game. Whenever he did get the ball, he looked good going forward. And the most important thing, he snuffed out one of the best right wing backs in the history of the Premier League, which is Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker didn't have a single chance to maraud forward that game. Kyle Walker was in his own box for the most of the game, because Sessegnon was pushing him back. So it was an absolute brilliant performance from Ryan Sessegnon, and it's brilliant to see him take what happened to him last week and put in a decent performance. And yeah, if he plays like that, Reggie's going to be very worried. He's going to be very, very worried.
Very good points there about Reggie, actually, Ben. Phil, you've given them 7.5 out of 10. Same as himself.
Slightly less than the other defenders, and primarily he got called out once with the ball over the top where Walker got in, and it was only the once, and Walker did a poor pass back. But there was a couple of times going forward, he just needed a little bit more composure. I think I talked about it earlier when Emerson crossed in for him, and it should have gone on Kane's head for a shot on target that kind of went over them, and Cess was there at the back, and I suppose it just lacked a little bit of quality. But I'm glad he played the whole game. I thought he had a solid game. Hopefully it's morale boosting for him after last week's incident. But for me, definitely a player for the future for us, without a doubt. I still see some good things with Cess.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Phil. Really do. And as yourself, you only give him 6 out of 10. Why?
Yeah, I just felt that more of the defensive work came down our right-hand side with Emerson, and I felt he lost the ball quite a bit, Sessegnon, and it was like 6 is an average. I don't think he played bad, and I just think that he did his job. I believe he did lose the ball the most out of anyone in a Spurs shirt, so that was the only knock I could give him, but to be honest, it was like it was he did his job. He did his job. I couldn't have asked for anything more from Sessegnon.
And just a quick question to three of you. Start with you, Ben. The back five as a whole, do you think that's the back five we should start now every game now?
I mean, apart from maybe switching Sessegnon and Reggie around and rotating them to make sure we've got an outlet on that left-hand side, yeah, that back five was absolutely superb. And if they keep on playing together, they'll get even better. They showed absolutely no weaknesses yesterday. Even against probably the best team in Europe, they showed that we were comfortable the entire game for the most part. So that's the team I would play, that back five.
Yeah.
Phil,
Me
to you,
also.
would you do the same?
Yeah, the back five. And the thing that I'd point out there is if you look at the two best games under Conte, Man City and Liverpool, okay? So the two best teams probably in Europe, certainly the two best in the Premier League. We were at least a match for them in both games. And on both of those occasions, who played left back? Sessegnon. So for me, yeah, I'd start with those five, I think. But it's a nice choice to have. You're almost back to the Trippier and Walker. Yes, you'd probably always pick Walker ahead if it was the final, but Trippier is certainly a great second.
And the same for you, Izhan. Would you pick that back five every game? Well, as Ben said, just the left wing back just between Sessegnon and Reggie.
Yeah, I would agree with Ben. Region is definitely the better player, and for most games, we're gonna need Region's offensive capabilities. So yeah, I think that Region will play should be the starter and should play most of our games. But other than that, everything should remain the same.
Absolutely fantastic. Right, now we're going to the midfield, and this was a tough decision for man of the match for me between him and Kane. And I did pick Holberg as man of the match first, then I changed my mind. But I'm actually going to change it back again. I'm going to give Holberg man of the match. He's my Danish dynamite player. I love that. I love this player. I absolutely think he's fantastic. A lot of people don't like him. A lot of people don't think he's not good enough. But for me, when he's great for breaking up the play, when you need somebody to put your foot in, that man will put his foot in. I give him 9 out of 10 because I thought he was immense yesterday. He proved a lot of his doubts wrong. Holberg is back. He's back. The Danish destroyer is back destroying the Man City midfield. And he'll be doing the same for Burnley as well. So I give him 9 out of 10. Ben, you give him the same. Why?
I mean, I gave him a 9 out of 10 purely for his second half performance. His first half performance was actually quite average. It was very, very lackluster. But that second half performance, he showed why we all love him as a footballer. He got himself about. He smashed people when he smashed them. He put his foot in. When he got a chance to run the ball and try and get the foul, he was running forward. He was an absolute beast in that second half. And my favourite moment of the game was when Kevin De Bruyne thought he was through on goal. There came in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and took him out like prime Graham Roberts, just smacked him to the floor and said, "Nope, you're not going anywhere, sunshine." And that was brilliant. That's what I love to see.
I always said, and I say it to Phil, and I've said it to Cooper, and I think I've said to you, Ben, Holberg is my Graham Roberts. He reminds me of Graham Roberts so much. Doesn't care, just puts the foot in, and he's been it. Phil's shaking his head because Phil only gave him 6.5 out of 10. I'm gonna love the. I'm gonna. This is now. Phil, why for all that?
I'm in Alex's camp. I just that first half, I didn't see anything about him. His first half performance, 4 out of 10. Gave the ball away, shrugged his shoulders, went around, but didn't really achieve anything. And there was one quite somewhere in the first half, he gets in a bit of space on the right-hand side and he's kind of running diagonally, obviously waiting for a foul, gets tapped, falls over like he's been shot, and you're like, that's not what you want. However, obviously his twin brother obviously came out at half-time, the one that can play football, and he stepped it up. And as the second half went on, he got fitter and better. Great professional foul on De Bruyne. Good luck to him. That was fair shout. But even right at the end, he's chasing down that ball. He's right in that far corner. But for me, he's still a little bit hot and cold. I get why people love him. Yeah, he's committed and stuff. But if we put him up for sale this summer, none of your top sides are coming in for him, and there's a reason for that. Man City, Man U, Chelsea, Liverpool, none of them are giving him a look. The first sort of club that would be looking at him would be the Scummers down the road, because he's not as great as we think he is. But I'll go back to it. His second half performance pushed him from his 4 to his 6.5.
Now, if he was for sale in the summer, big clubs would go for him, Phil. I bet you any money. And
he would walk into United's midfield easily.
Yeah, exactly.
Walk into their midfield.
That's because they're awful, though.
Yeah.
Well, they're
they
above
only
us.
dream of having a Holberg in their side. They look at Tottenham with envy.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Don't.
They do have Paul Pogba, but we're going to move on before this gets into an argument. So,
they haven't had Izhan's wine.
Back into the controversy.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
why did you give him 8 out of 10, sir?
Okay, I don't think the first half performance was as bad as people were making it out to be. I mean, look, the Man City play a 4-3-3. They have 3 midfielders. We have 2 midfielders, so it's going to be pretty difficult. And, Højbjerg did frustrate them a lot in that first half, but in the second half, that lion came out of his cage for sure. And, especially that he took one for the team, because De Bruyne was through, and he had to take him out. And that yellow card was, I felt proud, because, he's a real team player, and we needed that, because we could have lost if he didn't make the right decision. It's a tough decision to make, and he made the right one to, completely clatter De Bruyne. And, he had the most tackles plus interceptions, I believe. He won the ball the most out of anyone in a Spurs shirt, and he had a good game. He had a really good game, Højbjerg.
Well, great comments from everyone. Even Phil, great comments on the whole boat. Shall we
Even mine were the best.
Yeah.
Can we move on quickly, Ben? Move on.
Yeah, for the same conversation here as well.
I've just seen that.
Yeah.
But Benny, I give him an 8.5 out of 10. I thought he did all right. I thought he had a good game, a solid game. Did his job. But I think he was tiring towards the end of the game. So, yeah, I'd be good when Skippy's back, give him a rest. But, again, another solid performance. Ben, you give him 8 out of 10. Same reasons, do you think?
I think Bentancur's undroppable, for the point being that he offers something that Skip and Højbjerg don't, which is guile. He offers calmness in possession. He doesn't just boot the ball out just for the sake of booting it out. He tries to put the ball forward. He tries to command that midfield. He tries to bring it forward. Yes, it wasn't his best performance. He lost the ball a few times. I think it was 3 or 4 times. But at least he's trying to make a pass instead of booting it out or passing it sideways and backwards like his former esteemed colleague, Mr. Harry Winks. He's got that little bit of sprinkle of class when he's got the ball. When he's got the ball, it seems like he's in slow motion. That he just looks like he's got so much time on the ball. And if he keeps on playing, he'll keep on getting better. And he's showing that he's a real quality player. Since he's come in the team, we've looked like we can pass a ball. And that says something. He's been brilliant. So 8 out of 10 for me. Could have been played better, but I thought he had a very good game. But he needs to stop losing the ball. But not everyone's playing Man City every week and getting pressed by 3 players. So against a lesser team, he will dominate.
Phil, 6.5 out of 10. Explain yourself, young man.
So, quality for me, he looked pretty. I don't think he really stood out, but I think he like Skip, I think his quality was that he didn't stand out. There was a couple of times where he kind of chased full up and went past Harry Kane, but for me, he's lost marks because 2 or 3 times he's lost the ball. But irrelevant of that, he is by far our best midfielder. And for me, if you're thinking of whether it's a 2 or a 3 in the middle, he's there all day long unless he's suspended or injured. He has to. He's got so much quality on there. And again, he's playing against probably the 3 best midfield, combinations going. So the fact that he stood up and could do it, I just think he could have been slightly better. But again, 6.5 for me, solid enough.
Yeah, fair enough. And Izhan, you give him 8 out of 10. Your reasons why?
Yeah, look, I think Bentancur, he brings that coolness and that calmness in that midfield. He's good with the ball at his feet, and I think that's something we needed in that midfield. We've lacked it ever since Moussa Dembele, to be honest, and he seems like the exact type of player we needed. I think ever since he's come in, he's been very solid. And today again, he was good. I felt he was good because Højbjerg was sort of the destroyer, and then Bentancur was trying to make some progressive passes, which is something you need in a midfield because we want to obviously we want to win this game. We want to score, and you need someone like that. And another thing with Bentancur, I feel that a lot of the things he does, they don't get noticed. A lot of his off the ball movement, a lot of his marking, his positioning, really really his football intelligence was very high, and we saw that today. But like I said, a lot of this stuff it's hard to see what he does, and in my opinion, it's an 8 out of 10 performance. Very good from Bentancur.
Yeah, brilliant comments from all of you again. Absolutely brilliant. Right, we'll now go into the last midfielder, Cooley, or Kulu, because I cannot pronounce his name for love nor money, so I'm going to call him Cooley.
Decky. Apparently, he likes being called Decky, which is the short of Dejan Kulusevski. Because
all right, so Decky.
Yeah, Decky.
Decky.
Because if you use Kulu, you can in Italian that can be a bit of a bad swear word.
All right, okay, right, okay. So we'll go for Decky. Right, I give him an 8 out of 10. Scored his first goal for the club. Absolutely brilliant. The only reason I marked him 1 down was I just thought he tired, and I just think he's not there yet, but he is getting there. So that's why the reason I only give him an 8, because he's just about getting there. But I'm being a bit harsh. Ben, Izhan, and Phil have not been harsh, so I'm going to love to hear them slap me down and say, Dermot, you're wrong. You should have given him a 9. Ben started off. Why should I have given him a 9?
He was superb. He's shown what we've needed since Christian Eriksen, that he can put a ball on a sixpence and get 2 goals. One of them was ruled out, of course, but he showed, even without pace, he can get past defenders. He showed that he was almost like a Teddy Sheringham in that team. That sort of football intelligence to break away from the offside trap and then put a ball in the box. He was excellent. His passing was accurate. He worked his socks off. He covered for Emerson when he needed to. When the midfield was under the cosh, he was dropping into midfield and he was drifting. And he put a shift in. So I thought it was absolutely excellent. And that pass for Harry Kane's second goal on a sixpence, brilliant to stay onside with his supposed lack of pace. It don't show it to me. But if you're lack of pace, but you've got pace in the brain, you don't need pace. And he was absolutely brilliant. That's what I'm comparing him to. I'm comparing him to a Teddy Sheringham. That's how.
Do you know what? Do you know what, Ben? I think you could be spot on with that. I think he really could be, because Sheringham never had pace, but he had pace up here. So I would agree with you on that. Phil, you gave him 9 out of 10. Why?
Honestly, for me, he was close to man of the match. I didn't really want him to start because I didn't think that much of him. And now talk about an opinion change. We start with his defensive capabilities. He sat in front of Emerson Royale and he helped him out. So he stopped the threat down that side. Yes, alongside Romero, but he was great then. But then going forward, that Ben said they talk about him with a lack of pace. Didn't look like he had a lack of pace yesterday. He started on that right, he cut in, he created brilliant control and cut inside for Harry Kane's offside goal. And yes, okay, it was offside, but you're saying he tired. He's still getting to the byline in the 97th minute to put a pinpoint cross on the head of Harry Kane. And just on that, how nice was that to see Harry Kane out jumping Kyle Walker?
Yeah,
It was actually
Sweet. But that's still to come. But it was he was there. There's probably 3, maybe 4 players you could give man of the match to, and he would be very, very close. And when you think, if you had the time again, and you're like, could Lucas Moura have done that job? No. End of. No. Not even up for discussion. It's a no. He can't. That's looks a good player. Now, I was concerned that we'd just gone and bought another Juve, reject and stuff. But if this is what he's like after 3 weeks with Conte, got out the rest of the Premier League, is all I can say.
Yeah, absolutely, Phil. And Izhan, you gave him the same 9 out of 10. Love to know your reasons why.
Yeah, I mean, look, a goal and assist is already a 9 out of 10 performance, coupled in with the fact that he was absolutely brilliant helping out with the defense, and he kept running around. He gave it his all for the shirt, and it was just absolutely brilliant. I mean, this guy is only 21 years old. I mean, if he can put up those performances against Man City at 21, imagine what he can do at age 24, 25, 26, 27. I mean, this guy's a prodigy, 100%. And look, I know the narrative was touted, oh, Juventus reject. Well, the thing I would say is that, look, Juventus, they're a title contending team. They need players that are ready now. Kulusevski, he needed some time to develop. And look, at Spurs, we're not contending for the league, and this is a good place for him to develop and get some game time. And if this is him in his developing stage, imagine what he's going to be as a finished product. And who better than Conte to help him out? So, I mean, this guy's absolutely brilliant. This guy's brilliant. I mean, we could be looking at a future world beater, and
the other
that's not
bit
even an exaggeration.
For his goal, if you look at him, he had the pace, but as soon as he could see Son cut back in, he slowed down, so he had that bit of room. Because if not, if he'd gone at the same pace, the square ball, I mean, I would just presume Son would score, curl it in, but the fact that he held back gave it a second option, and it was, in FIFA terms, it was a straight AB. It literally was a little slide across, and then he still had to get it through the legs of, I think it was Laporte, wasn't it? Who was back there. So it was still a solid finish. So it wasn't just a straightforward tap in. He still had some work to do, but he was there, and he was there early, and he was there deep into extra time.
It was, yeah, another great performance. Okay, you convinced me. I'll change my 8 to a 9. Okay, so you 3 have convinced me. So I'll change it to 9. Right, now we've gone to Sonny. 7.5 for me for Sonny. 1 assist. I think they equaled the assist, him and Kane.
2 assists.
2 assists. But I think haven't they equaled the assist record now? Yeah. Him and Kane?
Yeah, their goal combinations, they're equal at 36.
Yeah. But I just don't think he's there yet since his injury. I noticed it last Sunday watching him, and I said to you, Ben, you can back me up in that. I said he's lost a yard of pace since his injury. Now, that could be that he's still coming back, or the injury has taken a bit of his pace away from him. Something that we won't know until a couple of months till he's up and back running. But a good, solid performance again by Son. Never gives up. Gives all for the shirt and for the club. But that's why I give him 7 out of 10. Ben, you gave him 8 out of 10. What was your reasons why, sir?
I mean, 2 brilliant assists to start off with. And he did what Son doesn't usually do when he's got a ball near a goal. He passed it. He showed a bit of a brain for once. Usually with Son, you'd usually see him cutting on his right foot and put it in the top corner. Not this time. He put it on an absolute plate for Dejan Kulusevski, who put it in the back of the net. So that showed an absolute it showed maturity. Yes, he did show a lack of pace, and he could have done better on certain situations with Harry Kane putting a few balls into him. But I think the one I'm thinking about, Harry Kane overhit the pass onto his left foot, not onto his right hand side. So maybe that was Harry Kane's fault. But those 2 assists were brilliant. So maybe I should have given him a 9 out of 10. Maybe I've been a bit harsh, but he has shown a lack of pace, and he showed a bit of a lack of work rate towards the end of the game. He didn't play the entire game, so maybe that's another reason to give him an 8. But he was very, very solid. He's coming back, and he showed a lot of respect towards his teammates to give him a goal. Dejan Kulusevski deserved that goal, and Sonny put it on a plate for him, and it was a goal instead of being selfish. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's become a bit more mature, hasn't he, as a player, as he gets older. Phil, you give him 8 out of 10. What was your reasons for that? Same as Ben's?
Yeah, again, a very selfless performance. The goal spoke volumes, and going 1-0 up, whether it's the 4th minute or the 54th minute, it doesn't make a difference. It's putting you in that place. He had a couple of runs, and I don't know if you noticed this, but every time he was clean through, who was marking him? Kyle Walker. So it was pulling him out of position. So whether that sort of changed. I think there was a pass through from Kane, which he almost played. He basically played it to the wrong side of Son, and it made it look like, I think it was Son's poor control, but I think with a slightly better pass, no offense, Harry, with a slightly better pass, it would have put him through. But I just thought he did a very good performance, but definitely tired towards the end. But I was still surprised to see him come off. So it must show how battered he was, because he's probably one of the 4 undroppables, isn't he? Son, Romero, Kane, Lloris. And probably now you'd add Dyer to that list.
Yeah, that's true. Great comments as always, Phil. Izhan, you've given them 10 out of 10. I'm going to love this now. I've absolutely got to know why. So everyone sit back, get your cup of tea, sit down with your biscuit, and listen to the stats man explain why he gave Son 10 out of 10. Because this is going to be a classic.
Look, with Heung-min Son, right? The things that he did on that field, no one else in the world could have done what he did, right? Not just offensively with the 2 assists, right? Even his hard work tracking back. That's why things were so quiet down that left-hand side. He really made Kyle Walker struggle. And another thing, him playing that inverted winger role, he kept dragging Ruben Dias out of position. Ruben Dias is a very aggressive defender. He likes marking his opponents tightly, right? And what Son was doing, he kept dragging him out of position with his movement. He's impossible to mark, and that gave Kane a lot of room to drop deep and sit in the midfield and give some good passes. And then Son would be in on, as we saw in the first goal. And the 2 assists were absolutely brilliant. I mean, that pass to Kulusevski, I thought he was going to score, but, he's absolute team player. He laid it off to Kulusevski for that tap-in, and that beautiful ball, perfectly timed ball to Kane, right over the defender's head, and Kane just slotted it in. With Son, right, it's like I said before, a lot of things that he does, you don't see. But what I saw personally was that off the ball movement, and that giving Ruben Dias a really hard time dragging defenders out of position. It was imperative. And obviously with the assists, both on the ball and off the ball in the offense and defensively, Son was absolutely excellent. And, Pep Guardiola, when he falls asleep and has nightmares, it's Sonny that's in those nightmares. So honestly, absolutely brilliant for Son. Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely. Ben's giving it the seal of approval there. He's giving it the old Italian. That's it, the old Italian.
The only thing I would say on that, I would suggest when Pep goes to sleep last night and has his nightmare, he'd be thinking, should have bid 150 for Harry Kane.
Yeah. I shouldn't have signed Birmingham's stupid hair.
Right, now we're going on to the man of the match. Well, everyone's man of the match apart from me, because I've gone for Holberg. I've given Kane 10 out of 10.
Just on that, you gave Højbjerg 9 out of 10. You gave Kane 10 out of 10 and claimed Højbjerg's a thing. I think you've been influenced by the Højbjerg people.
Ellie.
No.
Where
I've
is
always been. You can look back even on the Irish Hotspur. You can always know that I've been a Holberg man. Always. Always never went on the Harry Kane thing in the start of the season when he was due to go to Man City. I've always said that. It was he played the whole season last year, the whole of the European Championships. He's tired mentally and physically. Kane is back. He is back to his best. 10 out of 10 performance, 2 great goals, absolute performance. Nothing more to say about perfection. Ben, you've given them 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
Explain why.
It was that moment in Exodus 20 when Moses took the people to the promised land across the Red Sea. That's what Harry Kane did. He parted the Red Sea and he absolutely dominated. A shining light came from above and said, "Have it, Pep Guardiola and your oil drilling money team." Absolutely annihilated Man City from minute 1 to minute dot. Absolutely god tier performance. And they should go up Mount Sinai and write as the 11th commandment, "No, thou shalt not disrespect Harry Kane." Absolutely wonderful performance. Faultless.
Hang
Even
on
his
here,
hair
Ben.
was good. Even
Yeah,
his hair was good. He was
Hang on, Ben.
a god.
You're comparing Harry Kane to Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He split an
Right, you've heard it here first on Tottenham Tantrum Goal. Ben has officially lost it. So
Yeah.
we will be putting Ben into sort of rehab for every he's taken. And he will be back
The
soon.
question is, when did I ever have it? So Harry Kane was god tier yesterday, and everything he did to shut them oil drilling bastards up, he
So
did
was
it.
Conte? Hang on. If Kane was Moses, was Conte Jesus?
Not yet.
Who's the Holy Ghost?
Winks, because he's not in the team anymore.
Yeah. And on that, just Winks had his best game yesterday.
Yeah.
For a long
Yeah,
time.
he did.
Best
Yeah,
game.
he did. Yeah,
So yeah,
keeping
Harry
his,
Kane,
keeping his
11
arse
out
warm.
of 10. No questions.
Phil, you've given Kane 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Could you not give him 10 out of 10? Are you
No.
that stingy?
Yep. Right. So his positives. There was a couple of times he was last man back in defence. What he did, that first pass to Son for the first goal, was just it was to die for. It was absolutely phenomenal. But what he did most of all is he was obviously the number 9. He was the striker, but he played as a 10. So he dropped that deep. The 2 Man City centre backs didn't know which way to go. 2 goals. Several great passes, including one where he swept the whole width of the pitch with his wrong foot. But the reason he's lost his 0.5 of a mark, one would be the pass to Sonny, which ever so slightly out. But there was a point when we were 2-1 up and he went clean through. And yes, it was a great save from Emerson. But for me, if you freeze framed it then, I'd have put every penny I'd ever earned in my life on the fact that Harry Kane would have scored. But again, 9.5 out of 10, that's phenomenal. The guy was phenomenal yesterday. He was untouchable. And if you're questioning whether or not he is the best striker in the world, or he might be, then you don't know football. Because by far he was a god.
Brilliant comments as always, Phil and Ben as well. Izhan, you giving them 10 out of 10. You're going to say the same as the lads, really? Brilliant performance.
I mean, obviously, just an amazing performance from Kane, and the reason that I really enjoyed his performance was that I was saying this on Stats with Jack. He needed to start dropping deeper to get involved in that midfield, to get more involved in that build-up, and we really saw that today because his ball playing abilities, dribbling, and his passing was very underrated. And he played that role that he did under Mourinho, where he would drop into that half space in midfield, and he can ping that pass, and Son would hold up the ball, and then he could make that late run into the box, which we saw on his second goal. And honestly, it's very hard to defend. It's very hard to defend, especially when Son is, giving problems to Ruben Diaz, and then Kane is dropping so deep. Like the center backs, they don't know what to do. And it was honestly a tactical masterclass from Conte. And obviously, scoring in the very last minute, it's a lot of pressure, to be honest. It is a lot of pressure when, you're there, and he did miss that chance, which probably added to that pressure. He'd be thinking that, oh, I could have won us the game, but he scored with that header. Kyle Walker is actually pretty good in the air, and you know Kane just put it in, and it was absolutely brilliant in the dying seconds of the game. He gave us the win, and we couldn't. And there was like I said with Son, there was no one in the world that could do what he does, dropping so deep and putting in those passes, scoring those goals. He can do it all. He's just absolutely brilliant. He's one of our own, and Kane deserves the man of the match, 10 out of 10 performance.
Dermot dropped the mic a bit early. He dropped
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Drop the mic a little bit early. Sorry. Yeah, it's just that my orange bottles just went for a Burton decide just at the wrong moment. I was just trying to get it right. So.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
There'll be that much vodka in it, you don't know which one's which now. That's the trouble.
Oh, no, I don't drink anymore. I'm teetotal now. I'm cured. Woo-hoo. Right, okay. Now we're down to the subs. I do these very quickly for myself. I've given them all 7 out of 10. They came on, did a job, and that's all I'm saying. Really. Doherty did a job, Sanchez did a job, and Lucas did a job. Ben, very quickly, what you thought about the 3 subs? Just did a job, really, didn't they?
Doherty cleared the ball, showed no errors at all. 7 out of 10, did a decent job, did what he needed to do. Sanchez, same thing, needed to be in spaces, did what he needed to do, made clearances, didn't make any errors. I might actually change my thing for Lucas. I think he was poor. I thought Lucas was poor when he came on. I think he didn't show anything. He showed a bit of hard work, but hard work doesn't mean anything if you've got no quality at the end of it.
No, that's true. I might drop mine down to a 6 as well, actually.
I might drop it to a 5. I thought he was poor for the most part. I've given him a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
And that I thought he was poor compared to the rest of the team. I thought he was the worst player on the day.
Phil, very quickly on the 3 subs. Sanchez and Lucas.
I thought 2 defenders came in, did what they had to do with no issues whatsoever. Doherty, again, was very much helped by the fact that Romero was next to him and Cooley was right in front of him. But for me, again, Lucas Moore, I think I gave him a 5. I thought he was shocking. I thought he literally offered nothing. When he's coming on as a late substitute against a tired-looking Man City team, he should be full of pace, full of energy, full of quality. But I go back to one of the stats I looked at the other day. Played 124 times for Tottenham, scored 19 goals. Bearing in mind 2 of those have been hat-tricks, that tells you in 222 games, he scored 13 goals. He's nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough.
No. And as you quickly about the 3 substitutes, you get them 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, and 6 out.
I gave
6 out of 10.
I gave Doherty a 6. He came on, he did his job, he defended well, no mistakes, 6 out of 10. He did his job, average performance. Sanchez, pretty much the same. He came on, he did his job, didn't really put a foot wrong, 6 out of 10. And Lucas, I gave him a 5 because, to be honest, he lost the ball quite a bit. And, when you have all that energy and Man City are tired, you should be playing slightly better than he did. And, he didn't really offer much, but it wasn't horrendous. It wasn't a disaster, but we won at the end. So, I don't really have too many complaints, but 5 out of 10 overall for Lucas.
I changed mine to a 5 as well. I've convinced myself he was poor.
That is the play ratings for the Manchester City. Absolutely brilliant from the Ben, Phil, and Izhan. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, lads, for giving up your time this evening and giving us your ratings. Very quickly, Ben, we're back in the morning, aren't we? 11:30 for your coffee morning show.
We are back at 11:30 on Tottenham's Hampton Gold to do the coffee morning. and it should be fun. We have a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. Yeah, and then we're back on, I think, Tuesday night we're doing the build-up to the Burnley game, and then Wednesday night we'll do the post-match show, and then Thursday we'll do the player ratings from the Burnley game. Thursday or Friday, I'm not sure when we're doing that yet, but that will be, again, pre-recorded and put up to the stream, like this one has. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. But finally, Phil, thank you very much for coming on. Where can people find you, sir?
You can normally find me on here. Just having a little bit of time out at the moment, but I'm here.
Right, and Izhan, where can people find you too, sir?
Yeah, I'm on the Irish Hotspur a lot. I'm obviously on Tottenham Tantrum Gold, this channel. I'm also on Spurs Talk Show, Sean's channel. So, I like giving my opinions. I like talking about Spurs. I like talking about football. And, obviously, thank you, Dermot, for having us on. It was really awesome talking to everyone and discussing the players' performances after that excellent win against Man City. So, yeah, overall, it was really good today. Thank you, Dermot. Thank you.
No, absolute pleasure, and we will have you on more often doing these types of shows because you're absolutely brilliant with your stats and with your intelligence of football today. You put us all to
You've got a
shame.
brain, unlike us lot.
Yeah, who just want to get down to the pub and actually have a few jars and just drink and have a fight afterwards and just go home with a fish and chips in your hand after a good night out. Where are you off to, mate?
I'm off to the pub.
I thought you were. You were quick off the mark. Can you wait for us to finish the show? Then we'll all join you.
Nah.
Right. As long as you're buying the first round.
See you there, Phil.
Yeah, right. That's everything for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Ben, Phil, and Izhan. Thank you all for joining in. We will be back tomorrow at 11:30 with the normal coffee morning show from Ben from his coffee shop. And whatever you do, always come on, your Spurs. And Phil, we leave you with the two famous words that we always say in this channel.
Levy out.